Hello everyone, this is Six Path Weeb back again with another deep dive into the world of anime imagination. Today, we continue our journey with What If Naruko Became the Ice Devil Slayer? Part 2. In this episode, we'll explore how Naruko's powers, personality, and destiny might evolve under the chilling force of the Ice Devil Slayer magic, and how that could change everything we know about the Naruto universe. Disclaimer. The content on this channel is created purely for entertainment and discussion purposes. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. Alright then, let's dive in. Round 4, Sakura vs Tenten. Sakura and Tenten faced each other in the arena, both remaining perfectly still as soon as Asuma signaled for the match to begin. It was clear that the outcome would depend on who made the first move, or the first mistake. Tenten decided to act first, gracefully throwing a kunai towards Sakura to test her reflexes. The pink-haired kunoichi swiftly deflected it with her own kunai and sent it spinning back toward Tenten. Tilting her head to the side, Tenten let it glide past her and smiled confidently before launching a flurry of shuriken and kunai in Sakura's direction. Sakura matched her, countering with her own weapons, each clash ringing through the air like a rhythmic dance of skill. Then, with a swift motion, Tenten unrolled a summoning scroll and spun elegantly, releasing a dazzling storm of weapons that filled the arena. The audience, except for Team Guy and the Jonin instructors, watched in astonishment. "Whoa, she's amazing," Shikamaru exclaimed, only to receive a gentle tap on the head from his energetic blonde teammate. "Hey, who are you calling crazy?" Naruko said with a playful pout. "Ouch, who do you think I meant, you troublesome blonde?" Shikamaru grumbled, earning another light tap. Trying to calm things down so they could enjoy the match, Naruko turned to Ino. "Ino-san, don't you want to see what Sakura-san can do? She might surprise you." "4 heads stronger than me?" "Not likely," Ino replied teasingly, but she turned her attention back to the fight. Meanwhile, Sakura was focused on dodging the incoming barrage. She sprinted gracefully to the side, deflecting weapons mid-run while carefully avoiding injury. Though a few minor grazes appeared, she quickly began to heal them using medical ninjutsu, an impressive display of control that earned admiration from her classmates. Her teacher explained how difficult it was to use healing techniques while also avoiding attacks. Spotting a kusarigama, a chain sickle, on the ground, Sakura quickly picked it up and infused it with chakra. She began spinning it skillfully, using the weapon's motion to redirect the incoming projectiles, her focus sharp and unwavering. Noticing Sakura's strategy, Tenten frowned slightly. Her scroll suddenly stopped releasing weapons, she had used them all. As she reached for another scroll, Sakura threw her kusarigama toward it, the chain tangling and rendering the new scroll unusable. Thinking quickly, Tenten grabbed a nearby training sword and parried Sakura's follow-up strike. Their movements blended strength with grace, Tenten's mastery of weaponry meeting Sakura's keen intellect. Tenten's technique was polished and fluid, a reflection of countless hours of training. Naruko observed from the sidelines, impressed. "Wow, she really is a weapon expert," she whispered. "Sakura is using her smarts really well too." Tenten managed to land a few light hits, and Sakura quickly countered with an agile backflip, using her momentum to kick upward. In a surprising move, Sakura planted 2 kunai into the ground, infused them with chakra, and flipped into a handstand. Then, using her legs, she began spinning, launching kunai and other nearby weapons with precise aim, her movements almost like an acrobatic dance. Tenten's eyes widened as she found herself on the defensive, blocking and redirecting each attack with speed and precision. After several minutes, the flurry of weapons began to slow as Sakura's ammunition ran out. Seeing her chance, Tenten threw her training sword forward and then rushed with a chakra-enhanced staff. As Sakura dodged the incoming sword, she didn't notice the staff swing. The impact gently pushed her backward, and she stumbled before falling to the ground, her vision fading as fatigue overtook her. "The winner is Tenten," Asuma announced cheerfully. Kakashi carefully lifted Sakura to ensure she was okay and carried her off to rest. Naruko smiled warmly and summoned a few shadow clones to help Tenten collect the scattered practice weapons. Together, they tidied the arena, Naruko even repairing one of Tenten's damaged scrolls using her beginner-level sealing technique. Tenten accepted the restored scroll with a grateful smile. "Thank you, Naruko. You're really talented with seals." Naruko grinned. "Hey, no problem. I'm happy to help." The two exchanged a friendly nod, showing the kind of respect that only came from mutual hard work and determination. Round 5, Shikamaru vs Sasuke. Wearing his confident Uchiha smile, Sasuke stepped gracefully into the center of the training field. Some things never seemed to change. Before he could take another step, Naruko gently placed her hand on his shoulder and whispered a few encouraging words. With his usual sigh of mild annoyance, Shikamaru muttered, "Troublesome," before strolling lazily to the middle as well. Asuma, their instructor, glanced between the two competitors. "Are both of you ready?" he asked. When they nodded, he raised his hand and swiftly brought it down. "Begin." Instantly, both young shinobi began circling each other in perfect rhythm. They stopped at the same moment, their eyes sharp and focused. Sasuke swiftly formed several hand signs. Fire style, Grand Fireball Jutsu. A large sphere of flame burst forth, racing toward Shikamaru. A loud explosion echoed across the training ground, and several classmates gasped in surprise at the dramatic display. However, those who knew Shikamaru well understood that he was far too clever to be caught so easily. If I were him, Sasuke thought, I would have moved behind and used the shadow possession technique. Almost on cue, he sensed a pulse of chakra from behind. A dark shadow tendril stretched toward him. Reacting quickly, Sasuke stepped back to create distance. The tendril stopped just short of reaching him. In response, Sasuke threw two kunai toward Shikamaru, only to realize too late that his action extended Shikamaru's shadow just enough to catch him in its grasp. Seeing the kunai still heading his way, Shikamaru skillfully deflected them with his own. As he moved, his technique forced Sasuke to mimic his actions, bringing his weapon close to his own neck. "It would be best to yield now, Sasuke-san," Shikamaru said calmly. "You've been captured." "HN. You're sharper than I expected, Nara-san," Sasuke replied with a faint smile. Before anyone could react, a soft poof filled the air. Two copies of Sasuke appeared where the deflected kunai had landed. The clones dashed toward Shikamaru, engaging him in quick, strategic maneuvers. Their movements were coordinated, showcasing precision and teamwork. After a brief but skillful exchange, Shikamaru found himself unable to continue the match effectively. Seeing this, Asuma sighed softly and raised his hand. "The winner is Sasuke." "You did it, Sasuke-kun." Sakura cheered, her face lighting up with excitement. Kakashi, watching from the sidelines, smiled beneath his mask. She only caught the end of it, he thought with amusement. But it's natural for her to be so enthusiastic. He then reflected on the match. That was quite a clever move from Sasuke. Though, if it hadn't been for Naruko subtly slipping those kunai into his pouch earlier, the battle might have ended differently. While everyone focused on congratulating Sasuke, few noticed Naruko's small but proud smile. Her quick thinking had made a difference. Kakashi knew it well, Naruko had always possessed an impressive knack for creativity and stealth. After all, this was the same spirited girl who once managed to outsmart seasoned shinobi just to paint the Hokage monument in broad daylight. As the match concluded, Sasuke stood quietly beside Naruko. Though he had won, he seemed slightly thoughtful. Naruko gave him a cheerful grin. "You did great, Sasuke. That was an awesome match." Sasuke glanced at her, his smirk softening into something that resembled appreciation. Deep down, he knew she had helped him, and that made the victory feel even more meaningful. Round 6, Neji vs Choji. Begin. Before either competitor made a move, Neji calmly spoke, "You should forfeit now, it's inevitable that you'll lose." Choji puffed out his chest with determination. "I'm not giving up. As long as there's free barbecue on the line, I'll give it my all." The Akimichi never backed down. With that, Choji activated his expansion jutsu and transformed into a rolling sphere, charging forward with his human boulder technique. Neji swiftly sidestepped the first attack, observing that Choji had difficulty changing direction mid-roll. Using this to his advantage, Neji avoided another charge and activated his Byakugan, veins forming near his temples. With precise strikes, he released a focused burst of chakra, sending Choji spinning uncontrollably into a nearby tree trunk. Without wasting a moment, Neji assumed his 8 trigram 64 palm stance and quickly closed several of Choji's chakra pathways, rendering him unable to continue. Turning to Asuma, Neji declared, "The match is decided." "Great. Ino's my only hope for winning this wager now. But she's up against Shino next. Still, I have faith in her. She did defeat Hinata, after all," thought Asuma's student internally. "The winner is Neji. Dash. For those who have won their matches, you'll proceed to the next round," Asuma announced. Round 7, Ino vs Shino. Round 8, Naruko vs Tenten. Round 9, Sasuke vs Neji. After these matches, Asuma continued, the winners will either face each other in a free-for-all or advance into a final one-on-one battle. The victor of round 9 will compete against the winner of that final round. No one had any questions, so Asuma signaled the start of the next match. Round 7, Ino vs Shino. Begin. Without hesitation, Ino threw a flurry of shuriken toward Shino. The weapon struck their target, only for the image of Shino to disperse into a swarm of insects. Realizing it was a clone, Ino spun around and launched a kunai, meeting Shino's own projectile in mid-air. Thinking quickly, Ino tossed several purple flowers toward him. Shino noticed their sharpened stems and leapt backward to dodge them, just as Ino had hoped. She then hurled a small orb to the ground, and upon impact, the area filled with a thick cloud of purple smoke. Perfect. My plan worked. She thought excitedly. Team 8 looked concerned for Shino, knowing the smoke could be harmful to his insects. Team 10 called out for Ino to be cautious, but before she could react, Shino's insects from the clone began to surround her. Eek! Ew! 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 Somebody please get these bugs off me! Ino shrieked in panic. Hinata couldn't help but quietly smirk, feeling that Ino's situation was poetic justice for teasing her earlier. Soon, Ino's chakra was noticeably drained, though Shino carefully controlled the process to avoid harming her. Coughing slightly, Shino stepped forward. Concede, and I'll have them retreat, he said calmly, adjusting his glasses. Ino glared, still crouched low, before lunging forward to strike his hand with a kunai. How about you release them first? That kunai's coated with a mild numbing agent, something I prepared after your last match. I have the antidote. Shino realized his miscalculation but remained composed. Then, I suppose this match ends in a draw, he replied. The insects began to disperse, leaving both competitors weakened but safe. Shino swayed slightly before fainting from exhaustion. The match is a draw, Asuma announced quickly. As Shino's insects withdrew, Ino sat trembling on the ground. When asked for the antidote, she passed it to Asuma while mumbling, that was so unpleasant. The other kunoichi looked at her with sympathy, except Hinata, who still felt mildly vindicated. Even Kurenai, Shino-sensei, couldn't help but pity Ino for what she'd endured. Asuma gently lifted Shino to take him to Kurenai, while Ino remained frozen in place. Seeing no one else move, Naruko stepped forward, smiled kindly, and carried Ino in her arms. You know, Naruko said warmly, you'll have to face your fear of insects someday. Feeling Naruko's calm and reassuring chakra, Ino relaxed slightly. So warm. She thought. Hinata's cheeks puffed in envy, secretly wishing to be in Ino's place. Ino, however, continued to sense Naruko's soothing energy, momentarily forgetting her earlier fear. After gently setting Ino down near Asuma, Naruko walked confidently toward the field where Tenten stood waiting. Round 8, Naruko vs Tenten. Don't go easy on me, Tenten-san, Naruko said with a cheerful grin. Tenten smirked in return, pulling out her bow staff. Oh, I won't. Let's see what you've got, Naruko. Time to show how a real kunoichi fights. Round 8, Naruko vs Tenten. Begin. Tenten charged forward with her staff, launching a swift opening strike. Naruko dropped into a defensive stance and avoided the blow. With a precise motion, Tenten tapped Naruko's chest. Naruko staggered but remained composed. Another quick swing glanced off Naruko's cheek and sent her sliding backward. Naruko caught herself, smiled confidently, and reached into her pouch to draw a pair of practice blades, gifts from Asuma for passing the leaf-splitting exercise. Though she was still learning to channel wind chakra through weapons, this was a perfect chance to practice. Adopting a boxer's stance, Naruko advanced. She intercepted an overhead swing and guided a surge of wind chakra along the practice blades. The energy shimmered around the metal as she tested the technique. Naruko delivered a few precise jabs aimed at Tenten's arms to disrupt her grip. The blows loosened Tenten's hold on her staff, and Naruko moved in, using a well-timed knee that left Tenten off balance. Naruko followed with a controlled sweep of technique, and Tenten hit the mat, unable to continue the round. Asuma declared Naruko the winner. Naruko respectfully gathered Tenten's staff and helped the exhausted kunoichi to a safe position at the side of the training area. Round 9, Sasuke vs Neji. Begin. Give up, Hyuga. The Uchiha are the elite of the elite. That's not something your clan understands, the confident Uchiha stated. Funny you should say that, Neji replied coolly. If I remember correctly, your family faced great hardship in the past. Perhaps the strongest among you were lost, and those left behind had to carry on. The remark carried a sharp edge. Neiji's words struck a nerve, not only in Sasuke, but in Kakashi and Naruko as well. Kakashi bristled at any slight toward his friend's family. For Naruko, the memory was personal. 2 members of the Uchiha, Itachi, and Shisui, had once shown her kindness and protection, and she held them in deep regard. Neiji's tone made her chest tighten with indignation. "How dare you speak of my family that way? And don't you ever mention my brother," Sasuke shouted. His Sharingan flared, 2 tomoe in each eye. He surged forward with a kunai in hand. Neji met him calmly and retorted with his own kunai. "Is that the best you can do, Uchiha?" he taunted. Sasuke's response was a quick sequence of hand signs and a shout of technique, fire jutsu bursting forward. Hidden among the flames were several shuriken. Sasuke expected the mixture to catch Neji off guard. Neji executed a substitution and reappeared behind Sasuke, slipping into his clan's stance. "You are within my divination," he intoned. Sasuke whirled to respond but found himself within Neji's range. The Hyuga's gentle fist technique flowed in a precise, rapid series of strikes, 2 palms, 4 palms, 8, 16, 32, and then 64, each one targeted to temporarily impair an opponent's chakra control rather than to injure. Sasuke dropped to one knee, breathless and stunned that his chakra points had been disrupted. He had let his anger cloud his judgment. Neji gave a small, proud smile. "I suppose the Uchiha are not as untouchable as you claim." Sasuke threw a kunai in Neji's direction and managed to rise. "At least I won't always be bound by my clan's expectations," he muttered. The words wounded Neji's pride. Seizing Sasuke's thrown kunai, Neji rushed forward, intent on keeping his advantage. Because some of Sasuke's chakra points were still affected, his movements were sluggish. He kept defending but fatigue showed. "My arm is getting tired," Sasuke admitted under his breath. Just as Sasuke's legs began to falter and Neji prepared to press his advantage, a blur of movement ended the exchange. Naruko had arrived at lightning speed and pulled Sasuke back into a protective embrace, setting him on his feet. Neji lay on the ground nearby, surprised. "Take a breather, Sasuke. It's over, you got too confident." "I'll handle this," Naruko said, her voice steady but fierce. Sasuke looked at his teammate and saw that Naruko's temper was directed at Neji, not him. Hinata stepped forward gently, concern in her voice. Naruko-kun, please don't be too harsh with Neji Niazan. He's not a bad person, he's had a difficult upbringing." Naruko's eyes softened when she saw Hinata flinch. "I won't go too far, Hinata. But I can't forgive someone who speaks disrespectfully of those who helped me. People's choices matter, and words can shape how others are remembered." Sasuke's expression shifted to curiosity. "Itachi affected my family too. How do you know them?" he asked, puzzled. "The Itachi I know made choices I couldn't fully understand at first," Naruko said quietly. "He protected people, and I could feel that he cared." Sasuke wondered what Naruko meant, what happened between Itachi and her. But Asuma's voice cut through the moment as he signaled the next match to begin. Round 10, Naruko vs Neji. As Neji rose to his feet, Naruko swiftly formed a series of hand seals. Wind style, great breakthrough. A powerful gust of wind erupted, sending Neji sliding backward. Naruko didn't pause, she immediately began launching kunai and shuriken in rapid succession. Neji quickly regained his balance and assumed his fighting stance once more. Hinata and the observing Jonin widened their eyes in surprise as Neji called out. Rotation. A large, spinning barrier of chakra surrounded him, deflecting every projectile Naruko had thrown. Yet Naruko persisted, hurling more weapons, determined to find an opening. When she realized her attacks weren't breaking through, Naruko drew her twin trench knives. Channeling chakra into her feet, she dashed forward the moment Neji began to slow his rotation. Neji, with his Byakugan fully activated, transitioned smoothly into the gentle fist, 64 palm stance, a confident smile on his face. "You are making the same mistake as before," he said coolly. Naruko replied with a playful grin. "And you were unwise to stop spinning." Neji's expression shifted as all the fallen kunai and shuriken transformed into identical Naruko clones. The crowd gasped, it was now 51 Narukos against 1 Neji. The clones charged at once. Neji spun again, creating another rotation that dispersed half of them, but Naruko and her remaining clones pressed forward. Infusing her blades with wind chakra, Naruko crossed them together. Wind style, cross gale slash. Twin blades of wind sliced toward Neji's protective dome, but the defense held strong. Determined, Naruko gathered more chakra. Uzumaki style, soaring swallow barrage. Multiple arcs of wind energy surged toward Neji, each more refined than the last. The final strike finally broke through, causing Neji to stumble slightly. Naruko and her clones seized the opportunity and continued their synchronized assault, sending Neji spinning into the air through their coordinated strikes. Jutsu Ma Ki. The clones chanted rhythmically, each one propelling Neji higher with their combined energy. Finally, Naruko herself leapt upward, leading the final strike. Naruko Uzumaki, Twin Impact Barrage. The clones vanished in a flash of light as Neji landed on the ground, winded but still conscious. Naruko gracefully touched down, forming a final hand seal. The Jonin watching immediately recognized it. Fire style, Grand Fireball Jutsu. A massive fireball emerged, its size astonishing the spectators. Before it could reach Neji, Gai-sensei rushed in, swiftly pulling Neji out of the way. Kakashi reacted just as fast, countering the blaze. Water style, Giant Vortex Jutsu. The two elemental attacks met midair, neutralizing each other and dissolving into a gentle mist that rained lightly over the arena. As the steam cleared, Kakashi approached Naruko with a serious expression. "Naruko, that was far too powerful for an exam match. What were you thinking?" Naruko lowered her gaze slightly, but her tone was steady. "I misjudged the strength of the technique, Kakashi-sensei. I know I was careless, and I'll take responsibility. But I only wanted to prove that I could protect the honor of those who believed in me." Before Kakashi could reply, Neji stepped forward, supported by Gai. "Hokage-sama, I wish to report this as misconduct," he declared indignantly. Before the argument could escalate, a calm but firm voice spoke. "That won't be necessary." Everyone turned toward the entrance. The Hokage had arrived, accompanied by a dignified woman with dark hair. "Hokage-sama. Mikoto-sama." The group exclaimed. The third Hokage smiled kindly as he approached. "Now then, Neji, I understand you wish to press charges?" "Yes, Hokage-sama," Neji replied, bowing slightly. This was supposed to be a fair match, but Naruko's actions went beyond the rules. The Hokage's expression remained gentle but his tone carried authority. "I see. But before you proceed, you might wish to consider the full context." Neji blinked. "What do you mean, Hokage-sama?" The Hokage folded his hands behind his back. "You are undoubtedly a talented member of the Hyuga clan, Neji. But Naruko Uzumaki is not merely an academy graduate. She is the daughter of the fourth Hokage, the heir of the Uzumaki clan, the goddaughter of Lady Mikoto Uchiha, and under my personal guidance. She is also a promising kunoichi with mastery in multiple elemental styles. Are you certain you wish to challenge this matter formally?" The entire arena fell silent. Neji looked visibly conflicted. I understand, Hokage-sama," he said quietly. The Hokage smiled once more. "Good. Both of you have displayed remarkable talent today. Learn from this experience and strive to grow stronger, not through rivalry, but through mutual respect." Naruko nodded respectfully. "Yes, Hokage-sama." Neji gave a small bow as well. "Understood, Hokage-sama." The Hokage turned to the audience. "The match concludes here. Both participants have demonstrated exceptional skill and resolve. Let us applaud their spirit." The crowd erupted in cheers as Naruko and Neji stood facing one another, both silently acknowledging each other's strength and determination. "Excellent. It looks like Naruko has won this round, and Kakashi-san has won the wager. Now, as a light-hearted consequence, Neji, Naruko, and Sasuke will be tasked with catching the lively cat, Tora, for 1 full week. You won't be able to take on any missions until that week is complete. You can all participate in team battles next time. For now, go home and rest for the day." The 3 young ninjas looked visibly uneasy at the thought of dealing with the mischievous cat. Though Naruko seemed nervous on the outside, deep down she was already forming a clever plan. She could simply send one of her clones to handle the task. As everyone went their separate ways, only the Hokage, Mikoto, and Sasuke remained. Kakashi was cheerfully discussing what his fellow Jonin would owe him for the bet, clearly pleased with himself. Naruko was about to leave as well, but the Hokage gently called out to her. "Naruko, before you go, I would like to introduce you to someone very special, your mother's closest friend and your godmother, Uchiha Mikoto." "Hello there, Naruko-chan. It's such a joy to finally meet you," Mikoto said warmly, her kind smile radiating affection. Naruko's expression shifted, her tone serious. "What do you want?" "Hey, Naruko. That's no way to talk to my mother, Sasuke said, his voice filled with frustration. And how am I supposed to speak to the person who was my mother's friend but never came to see me? Where was she all those years when I needed someone to guide me or comfort me? Where was my godfather when I needed support? Where was anyone when I felt alone? Naruko's voice trembled with emotion, her eyes filled with unshed tears. Mikito's eyes widened, and she dropped to her knees, overcome with sorrow. Naruko. I'm so sorry, she whispered, her voice breaking. Sasuke stood frozen, unsure of what to say. He didn't know if what Naruko said was true, but the pain in her voice made him hesitate to doubt her. The Hokage sighed softly, trying to ease the tension. Now, Naruko, I understand your feelings. But please, give Mikito a chance. Naruko looked at him with sadness in her eyes. Why should I give her a chance, Grandpa? She's been here in the village my whole life, and not once did she try to meet me. My godfather, who lives far away, sent me gifts every year to remind me I wasn't forgotten. She never did. Her voice cracked as a few quiet tears escaped. Not wanting them to see, Naruko turned and began to walk away. Please, Naruko, Mikito cried out. I know I don't deserve it, but please allow me a chance to be part of your life. I want to make things right. Naruko stopped in her tracks. Slowly, she turned halfway and met Mikito's gaze. Her eyes were calm but filled with quiet strength. There were many times I wondered if I was truly meant to be loved, Naruko said softly. There were two people who showed me kindness, Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi. Itachi once told me he wanted to introduce me to you, but that day never came. I don't need a mother figure now. But if you truly wish to be part of my life, I'll allow it. That doesn't mean I forgive you yet, Mikito-sama. Hearing those words filled Mikito's heart with renewed hope. She placed a hand over her heart, determined not to waste the opportunity. I won't let you down, Naruko-chan, she said with sincerity. All right, Naruko replied softly. As she walked away, she whispered to herself, I wish you were still here with me, Haku-chan. It had been 1 month since the friendly exhibition tournament, and Naruko had made remarkable progress in her training. She had successfully mastered all her chakra control exercises for both wind and water elements. For her water-based training, she began by holding a glass of water steady using only her chakra. Once she achieved that, she practiced forming water into shapes within her hands. Maintaining the form without letting it ripple or collapse was far more challenging than she expected. However, Naruko faced one difficulty: she couldn't perform the Hyoton technique. It felt as if something within her was preventing it from working, though she didn't understand what that obstacle was. She also couldn't practice yin or yang techniques directly since such exercises were nearly impossible to find. People with affinities for yin or yang chakra were rare, and those who possessed both could not detect it through chakra paper. The Hokage offered her one useful hint: yin chakra is linked to spiritual energy, while yang relates to physical vitality. The best way to train both was through meditation. For an entire month, Naruko devoted herself to meditative practice. Once she gained confidence, she even had her shadow clones meditate as well, allowing her to split her chakra and improve sensitivity to yin and yang energies. Unexpectedly, when she connected with her yin chakra, mysterious markings on her right arm began spreading toward her shoulder. By the end of the month, the black markings reached halfway up her neck and right chest. No one, not even the Hokage, understood what these markings meant. Naruko could feel a subtle change within herself, emotions surfacing that she didn't fully recognize. Remembering her time with Haku sometimes stirred deep thoughts, but she tried to channel that energy into something positive: her studies in sealing techniques. Her Fuinjutsu training flourished. She had reached an adept level, learning to craft complex seals capable of altering the environment around her. Many ninja from the village began seeking her guidance, which she kindly offered, though not without fair exchange. Naruko mastered various sealing arts, from simple storage seals to advanced gravity seals. If she reached expert level, she might even be able to seal large chakra beings into objects, though never into people. Using her skills creatively, she added special seals to her clothing that allowed her to adjust its temperature. She was even considering applying similar seals to her teammates' gear for their comfort during missions. Speaking of her team, Sakura had made great strides as well. After her match with Tenten, Sakura began refining her chakra control to an impressive degree. She practiced using chakra threads to channel healing energy, enabling her to assist allies from a distance. Inspired by the art of summoning, Sakura started researching potential summoning contracts. Though most village summons were tied to specific clans, such as the Abarame's insects, the Inuzuka's wolves, or the Uchiha's crows, Sakura remained determined to find one of her own. Her admiration for Sasuke remained, but she no longer let it cloud her focus. She worked diligently to become a strong, confident kunoichi, respected for her skills rather than appearances. Kakashi-sensei, too, had become more serious about training. No longer as relaxed as before, he used shadow clones to work with each student individually while maintaining his own training regimen. Between sessions, he often sparred with other elite shinobi such as Guy, Asuma, and Kurenai to sharpen his abilities. Though he still enjoyed his favorite novels in his free time, he balanced them well with his duties. Under his guidance, the team's progress was extraordinary. Sasuke's skills had risen to a high level, mastering both fire and lightning techniques taught by Kakashi. His Sharingan had developed further, and he began learning weapon combat and tactical studies with his mother's help. Naruko herself had grown from a mid-level Chunin to nearly Jonin rank, her immense chakra reserves and refined control giving her a unique advantage. Sakura, too, had improved from Jonin level to a competent Chunin, her stamina and energy growing significantly. Sasuke often challenged Naruko to sparring matches, eager to test their growth. Regardless of who won, they both learned from each encounter. Sasuke also began studying village leadership and clan politics, guided by his mother, Mikado. Mikado often reached out to Naruko with warmth and care, offering the affection of a mother figure. Though Naruko felt shy about it at first, she eventually came to appreciate Mikado's kindness deeply. Mikado had been best friends with Naruko's mother, Kushina, serving as her teammate and bridesmaid, and even as Naruko's godmother. Though late in fulfilling that role, Mikado was determined to make up for lost time. She taught Naruko the art of swordplay and introduced her to a variety of weapons, believing that mastering many tools of the trade was essential for a capable ninja. To Mikado, Naruko was not just her goddaughter but part of her extended family, a bond she cherished deeply. Naruko still remembered her first visit to Mikado's home just 3 days after they met, the day that would mark the beginning of a warm and lasting connection between them. Flashback. It had been 3 days since Naruko had been introduced to her godmother. Normally, someone would be eager to meet a person so important in their life, especially a family figure like a godmother. But Naruko wasn't like most people. She still struggled with the idea that her mother had chosen someone else to be her guardian if anything ever happened. All the challenges Naruko had faced growing up were because she had no one to guide her properly. She had taught herself how to read, cook, speak politely, manage money, and keep her home clean. Though the Hokage and the Ichiraku family helped her when they could, most of her growth had come from her own hard work. Now, she wondered if she should really go visit her godmother or simply forget about it. With a sigh, Naruko finished her shower and looked over her limited clothing options. After a moment of thought, she chose a pair of black sweatpants, an orange tank top, and her familiar blue shinobi sandals. She also rewrapped the tape around her arm before heading out. At the Uchiha compound. When Naruko arrived at the Uchiha compound, she was about to pass by 2 guards when they stepped in front of her. Halt! State your business, Demo, one began before Naruko swiftly brought a kunai close to his neck. Please finish that sentence carefully, she said calmly. The third Hokage's law protects me, and I would prefer not to see you get in trouble for saying something inappropriate. The second guard quickly stepped in. That's enough. He won't say another word. Please, tell us your reason for visiting. Naruko lowered her kunai and took a step back, satisfied with the change in tone. I was invited by my godmother, Lady Mikado. She said she would inform the guards of my visit. The first guard frowned. Lady Mikado is very busy. Unless you can show proof of this, I'm afraid you can't enter. That's true, added the second guard politely. We haven't received any notice about it today. Naruko sighed softly. All right, I understand. Could you at least let her know that I stopped by? The second guard nodded, and Naruko gave them a small bow before leaving. After she disappeared from sight, the first guard muttered nervously, You almost got us into real trouble there. Before they could continue talking, a woman with long brown hair and the Uchiha clan symbol on her back appeared behind them. So, she said with calm authority, you refused Lady Mikado's guest entry? I'll be reporting this to the clan head. Why yes, ma'am. Both guards replied immediately. The woman, Izumi Uchiha, hurried after Naruko. At Ichiraku Ramen. Naruko, not realizing she was being followed, decided to visit Ichiraku's instead. As soon as she arrived, she called out cheerfully, Hey, Ayame-chan. Chuchi Jiji. 6 bowls of miso ramen, please. Ah, Naruko. How have you been? It's been a while. Hyuchi greeted warmly. Naruko-chan. You're back. We missed you so much. Ayame added with a bright smile. Naruko beamed at them and began telling them about her recent experiences. Their faces softened with sympathy as they listened. To cheer her up, Ayame gave Naruko a comforting hug and a quick kiss on the cheek. Just then, Izumi entered the shop. One bowl of pork ramen, please, and I'll be covering Naruko's meal as well, she said kindly. Thanks, but you really don't have to, Naruko replied modestly, turning to look at her. Izumi smiled. It's been a while, Naruko-chan. Naruko's eyes widened. Wait, you're that girl who used to follow Itachi Ni around all the time. Izumi playfully tapped Naruko on the head. I wasn't following anyone. My name's Izumi Uchiha. We met after the Uchiha tragedy. I was the one who tried to comfort you when Itachi left. It's okay if you don't remember, you were pretty upset then. Naruko blushed slightly and looked away. I didn't forget. Izumi chuckled. You're not a great liar when you're embarrassed, you know. Naruko scratched her head awkwardly. Hee hee. Okay, I forgot. Izumi giggled. That's better. So, why were you at the compound earlier? Naruko explained her visit and how the guards wouldn't let her through. Izumi nodded thoughtfully and told her that Lady Mikoto had already instructed the guards to let Naruko in. Since they hadn't followed orders, Izumi decided to escort her personally. After finishing their ramen, courtesy of Izumi, they headed back to the compound. Along the way, Izumi noticed Naruko's bandaged arm. Hey, Naruko-chan, what happened to your arm? She asked curiously. Oh, that? I just burned myself a little while training, Naruko replied quickly. Izumi could tell it wasn't the full truth, but she respected Naruko's privacy and didn't press further. As they entered the compound again, the guards immediately stepped aside, nervous under Izumi's stern gaze. Some members of the Uchiha clan gave Naruko unfriendly looks, but others offered polite nods or gentle smiles. Naruko noticed both, but kept quiet. Izumi knocked on a nearby door. Lady Mikoto, it's Izumi. I brought a very special guest for you. Did she just call me a present? Naruko thought to herself with a small smile. Mikoto opened the door, her face lighting up the moment she saw Naruko. Naruko-chan, she exclaimed joyfully, pulling her into a tight hug. Naruko's cheeks turned bright red at the sudden affection. Mikoto, wearing a casual tank top and dark blue pajama pants, seemed to have just woken up. Izumi laughed softly but quickly intervened when she noticed Naruko's face turning pink from being squeezed too tightly. Lady Mikoto, Naruko needs to breathe. Oh. I'm so sorry, Naruko-chan, Mikoto said, stepping back with a sheepish smile. Flashback end. Looking back, Naruko realized that those moments had been among the kindest and most peaceful she had ever experienced. From that day forward, she often visited Mikoto and Izumi, cherishing their company. After Izumi's mother passed away, Izumi had moved in with Mikoto and Sasuke, and their home had become a place filled with warmth and understanding. Now that Naruko had finally achieved a breakthrough in her training, it was time to put her new technique into practice beyond the compound. Rising to her feet, she created 4 shadow clones, each ready to assist her. Naruko instructed one to go north, another south, and the remaining 2 east and west. Once the seals were placed, the technique would alter the weather and create a gentle snowfall. A cool breeze brushed against Naruko's skin as the clones dispersed, and she felt a calm energy settle within her. It seems the seal worked, she thought, closing her eyes. Perhaps now I can understand what I've been missing about the Hyoton technique. Maybe meditating in the snow will bring me closer to its true harmony. The snow felt cold yet comforting. Tiny snowflakes touched her cheeks as she gazed up at the gray sky. A few soft tears traced down her face as she remembered a dear friend from the past. I miss you, Haku-chan, she whispered. Cherry blossom emoji, flashback. That memory was as clear as the falling snow. Young Naruko had spent the entire night practicing her chakra control, determined to improve enough to challenge Sasuke. Exhausted, she had fallen asleep outside under the stars. As dawn broke, she felt something soft brushing her whisker marks. Opening her eyes, her bright blue gaze met a pair of gentle dark brown eyes. Beautiful, she thought, completely mesmerized. The person before her had long black hair, fair skin, and an elegance that made her seem almost otherworldly. She was simply breathtaking. Sorry about that, the young woman said shyly. I saw you sleeping and wanted to wake you, but then I noticed your whisker marks. I just wanted to see if they were real. Naruko blushed. It's all right. I don't mind, she said with a warm smile. Especially from someone as kind as you. The woman's cheeks turned pink, surprised by the sincerity in Naruko's tone. Thank you, she said softly. My name is Haku. What's yours? I'm Uzumaki Naruko, the blonde replied brightly. And I'm going to be the next Hokage someday. Haku smiled at her enthusiasm. That's a wonderful dream, Naruko-san. Naruko tilted her head curiously. What are you doing out here, Haku-chan? I'm gathering herbs to make medicine for a friend of mine who isn't feeling well, Haku explained kindly. That's amazing. I wish I knew how to do that. Maybe you could teach me which herbs help people heal? Haku thought for a moment, then smiled. Sure. I can teach you a few things. My friend will be fine if I stay a little longer. But first, may I ask you something, Naruko-san? Of course, Naruko replied cheerfully. Do you have anyone who's precious to you? Naruko froze for a moment, her smile fading slightly. She thought about it deeply. The Hokage cared for her, but always seemed distant. Iruka-sensei had started to believe in her, but she still felt lonely most of the time. Finally, she shook her head gently. I don't think I do, she admitted quietly. People in the village know me, but not many really see me as a friend. Haku's expression softened. She could sense the loneliness in Naruko's voice, a feeling she knew too well. Placing her hands gently on Naruko's cheeks, Haku looked into her eyes. If that's how you feel, she said with a kind smile, then from now on, I'll be your precious person. Let's be friends, Naruko-chan. Naruko's eyes filled with tears, not from sadness, but from overwhelming gratitude. No one had ever said something like that to her before. She hugged Haku tightly, smiling through her tears. Thank you, Haku-chan, she whispered. I'll protect our friendship with everything I have. Haku smiled warmly and returned the hug. And I'll always believe in you, Naruko-chan. Remember, we become stronger when we have someone precious to protect. Those words stayed in Naruko's heart long after that day. They gave her strength and purpose, a reminder that compassion could be just as powerful as determination. After sharing a few more moments together, the two new friends said their goodbyes, promising to meet again soon. As Naruko walked away, she turned back one last time, smiling softly. Haku watched from behind a tree, her hand resting over her heart. An angel, huh? That's the first time anyone's ever called me that. Naruko-chan. Snowflake emoji, end of flashback. Standing in the softly falling snow, Naruko smiled as the memory warmed her heart. The flakes shimmered as they touched her skin, a gentle reminder that kindness and friendship could bring warmth even in the coldest moments. Naruko blinked in confusion as she looked around the quiet, snow-covered clearing. How did it start snowing this quickly? She wondered, glancing down at her wristwatch. Only an hour had passed, yet the entire area was blanketed in white. Standing up, she sneezed softly. I should have known better than to take my shirt off. Wait, where did my shirt go? Naruko scanned the snowy ground before letting out a small sigh. It seemed she had misplaced her favorite shirt somewhere under the growing pile of snow. She didn't want to cancel the jutsu seal just to retrieve it, doing so would cause all the snow to melt and vanish. With a resigned smile, she created a shadow clone and asked it to take her pants and underclothes inside for safekeeping. The best way to understand this technique faster is to let my whole body experience the snow's touch, she reasoned, her determination shining through. Unbeknownst to her, several passers-by noticed the determined blonde kunoichi training in the snow. A few onlookers turned pink with embarrassment, while others hurried away to give her privacy. No one, however, was more surprised than a certain Yamanaka heiress, who fainted in surprise, leaving her teammates scrambling to carry her home. After several hours of practice, Naruko still couldn't manifest the Hyotan, the ice release. She frowned thoughtfully, wondering what she might be missing. Water and wind naturally complement each other, she mused, so what could I be doing wrong? She reviewed her elemental affinities in her mind. Alright, I've got water, wind, light, and dark. Ice appeared as a combination, but it only manifested after the light and dark elements emerged. Maybe if I channel wind and dark chakra on my right side, and water and light on my left. Naruko decided to test her theory. Even though she could have used a clone for safety, her curiosity and resolve pushed her forward. Closing her eyes, she focused on the sensations, cool wind swirling around one hand, gentle water flowing through the other. That was the first step. Next, she began to channel her light and dark chakras. As the dark energy coursed through her arm, she felt her emotions shift, irritation and frustration rising within her. No, she whispered firmly, I won't let negativity control me. I need balance. She focused on her memories, kindness, friendship, and the peaceful time she shared with Haku. Remembering those days helped her calm her spirit. The light chakra began to glow warmly, gently pushing back the dark energy until it settled peacefully along her arm. Step 2, complete. Bringing both hands together, Naruko thought about everything she had experienced, the challenges, the lessons, and the friendships that shaped her. Smiling softly, she opened her eyes. In her palms rested a delicate, shimmering ice sculpture, two tiny figures, herself and Haku, standing side by side and holding hands. The Haku figure shone in a radiant blue, while her own sparkled in a bright violet hue. Naruko looked up toward the sky with a serene expression. It seems you'll always be the light that guides me, she said softly, and I'll always be the shade that reflects it, Haku-chan. Dear YouTube family. That wraps it up for today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, it really helps the channel grow. Until next time. Stay legendary, Six Path Weeb.